I think that to me is so important, because when I am at a crossroads in my life, or when I'm, I'm struggling with something, or I'm confused about something, I generally just go, you know what? I just need to sit down. I just need to lay down. I just need to rest, because I know when I wake up, somehow it's become clearer. So sometimes, that stillness is so important, but also that movement, like just put one foot in front of each other, just one foot in front of the other, just keep it moving. Just one foot in front of the other, just keep it moving, and then it becomes clear. And I think like that's so important. With your Rockstar School, this is something that you started then to work with PR professionals, or is it just women that you're identifying?
Got it. Thank you for the question, Catherine. One, I love that y'all are quoting the Bible. Like, thank you for doing that, because it just gives a reference, for certain things that, maybe we all have our relationship to, right? And when we're talking about intuition, it reminds me of the quote, like, you cannot serve two masters, right? Mm-hmm. So while we're like, trying to tune in, to our higher power, and maybe sometimes overriding that with either other people's needs or, other things that are more prominent in the moment. So like to actually make space, to be able to hear is such a big part, of having choice be truly, coming from you, right? So maybe we don't have to, be able to say in one sentence who it is that we are, but we can have a feeling, an essence, a space for that to exist. So I find that that's really important. PR Rockstar School is not just for PR professionals, it's for everybody, that is visible, right? We have a choice of how it is that we get to show up, and in the school we get to craft and cultivate and have an awareness of that. Sometimes we have no idea how it is that we're showing up. I get that I don't wear makeup and that I look 12, right? I'm actually 40, and that's okay. That's part of my brand, right? I'm playful. I get who I am and I get how I show up, right? And sometimes we just don't know what that is. So we get to, be who we are, see who we are, and also be in community so people can reflect who that is.
Yeah, I think feedback's so important. Your community sounds wonderful. What ways do you help someone who doesn't know who they are stepping into that space? Work through some of those things. What other strategies and tools do you use?
Ask a bunch of uncomfortable questions and be with the uncomfortable answers and not rush to a solution. It's okay to not know, right? It's okay to think you knew for 40 years and then find out that it's actually something else. Like, all of that is part of the process, and all of that is okay. And making space, for that process to happen and unfold is the magic.
I'm curious, what is your definition of resilience?
Resilience. I think that resilience is an awareness, because and this is me speaking from my beliefs, okay? I feel that there's a part of us, right, that just really doesn't change. It's always there. It's always the same. And also it's all encompassing, right? And maybe our awareness may go away, and into responsibility or obligation, or, into some other, realm that kind of maybe takes our focus off of who it is that we really are. But that who it is that you really are is still always there. So I think that resilience is a return of the awareness of who it is that we are. And we, just have our different reasons for going away and coming back. If going on vacation meant never leaving home, then it wouldn't be a vacation, right? We all get to go on a journey, and resilience just happens to be the name of that journey when we come back home.
Yeah. I think basically, I think what we're talking about today, Tiffany, is just learning about yourself. Mm-hmm. It's just stepping into your own, stepping into yourself unapologetically, with no explanation, and no excuse. And I think I love that, Kai. Thank you so much for joining us today to talk about that. to give women permission to just be, to choose. And that's giving anyone permission. But we're going to talk primarily about women, because what we've been talking about, and we've talked about many times before, is how it's not that simple for women to feel like they have that freedom to just think about themselves and actualize themselves and be. We live still very much in a man's world, and that is not a negative. And if I have sons, I have 2 sons, and my sons, thankfully I raised them. So they were raised in a home with a mother who spoke to them a lot. We talked, and they were able to say, it's true. Sometimes I notice that the girls are overlooked in class, or I notice that, like they honestly can say that, and just be truthful about it and not feel offended when someone says something about women's plight or women's reality. But unfortunately, we don't have that everywhere that we turn in our society. And so we almost have to be in our little tents talking about it. My friend calls it venting in the tent, because if we dare say it out in public, it's like someone's offended or something. And it's not about you. We're not talking about you. We're not saying anything negative about you. We're just saying that women should be okay with thinking about themselves and thinking about who they are and what they want, and unapologetically, and with no explanation. I love that. I actually really love that. So I think today this is the message that we're bringing. So along with our resilient intuition, resiliently be intuitive to who you are and to what you're about and to who you want to be, regardless of what age you are. Like Kai just said, even if you're 40, you didn't realize it. Come on, let's get it together right now. It's okay. Because if not now, then when?
Mm-hmm. I really like what you're saying, Catherine, because it makes me think of that saying of when you shine your light, you give permission for other people to do the same. And I really hope that's what this podcast is doing.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the work that you're doing. You're giving people permission to let the spotlight be shined on them so that they can grow and they can reflect their light. It's a beautiful work that we can do, because then we're making the world a better place by everyone reaching for their full potential.
Because we were all born to shine. It's the Marianne Williamson, poem that I love, and I quote it a lot. But exactly that. Like, there's enough for all of us. And when you do it, you give permission. And I think for our young girls that are watching us, our daughters, our granddaughters, our nieces, all of these young women that we touch every day, that they can be better, and they can, by being better, they end up making the world a better place. So I love that, and I'm very much into that sort of stuff as well. I do pageantry also. I've been doing that for a few years. So so that's a big deal, in changing the mindset of people that think that it's about men. It's not about men at all. It's about women stepping into their own and being fabulous and being amazing and taking their place at the table of leadership. So thank you, Kai, for all of the gems and nuggets that you've shared with us. I really love that. I'd love to know where we can see this stuff or catch up with it. I don't know. Tell us a little bit about how that plays out every day in your life.
Sure. And Catherine, come on, you're just dropping a whole bomb like that. The whole pageantry world, like we could talk a whole other hour, about it. As a Miss NYIT, Miss New Jersey semifinalist, and also I was a competitive bodybuilder for many years.
Well, let's do that, Tiffany. We can make it happen. We can do a part 2. We can finish this up and do a part 2, honey. Just stick around.
Thank
Tiffany,
you.
we can do it.
Yes. Thank you for bringing it up.
Our other guest hasn't shown up yet, so we can keep going till they do.
We definitely can. We can tie this one up neatly, and then we move on to part 2 with Kai.
Do this so I know where this conversation happens.
Yes.
I love that you brought up that it can be for us.
It is for us.
It
is for us. Like because I joke and say we're not parading around on the stage being like literally the best that we can be, because we hope a man's looking. You in that audience, it's women. It's women that's looking, because if you have a husband or a partner, he's not there by himself, because if he is, then you're not with him anymore. So, I bust that bubble every day when they go, oh, men. I was like, it's not men. Are you kidding me? Like, my husband can come, but he better just be looking and be quiet, because, so it's for us, and it is about us, and it's nothing wrong with that. And so I just really love us being able to have these conversations for our young women, because, for me, the 9-year-old me or the 19-year-old me, it would have been nice if I felt like I had that permission. And I was born in the 60s, so I'm an old bird. So I know you young ladies are better off than we were, thankfully, but we still have a long way to go. Mm-hmm. But if there were more women out there saying, yes, you can be who you want to be, no apologies, no excuses, no explanations, then that would have given me permission, or people like me permission, or a lot more people during my time permission to not follow this status quo and then end up with a divorce, or end up with, being a single mother to 3 children, which is what my story ended up being, because I would have been like kicking butt from the beginning. Regrets. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if you could avoid some of the pitfalls, why not? And so that's what I love about these kinds of conversations. And I think that Tiffany and I talk about it all the time. The Resilient Mother podcast is really about that space, taking up that space and beating that drum very loudly, because there's lots of drums being beaten in the world. But that motherhood drum is a very, very important drum, and it needs to come from the right place, because we have so much responsibility to the world that we're a part of, and changing it for the better sometimes. So I don't want to get philosophical, but
well, we are the change, right, Catherine?
Yes, you're the change you want to be. Exactly. It's a big deal. It's a huge deal. So absolutely. And I do think that we do have a space to talk about a pageant, to have a show on the whole pageantry thing, because I think that it's so many myths and just misunderstandings about what it is and what it does for people. And I've just seen so much growth come out of it. Personally, I've seen the young women that have come through my program today, and a year later, different girl, and just, the growth and the confidence, and just grabbing her life, by the reins, and like, no apologies. I'm like, oh girl, this is amazing. Because that's my first thing, is like, don't let the world tell you what they want to tell you. You write your story. You're in charge of that pen, right? And you write down what it is that you want to write down. So that's what I love about the PR Rockstar School. It sounds as if, it's really about that. What's the story that you want to write for yourself? Right. And how do you make that happen and not have to explain it? You don't need to explain it.
No explaining, no permission. That permission thing, sometimes it's like jail bars that don't really exist. Because who are we really asking? What we're really asking is ourselves, to give ourselves permission, so that we can be the greatest version of who it is that we already are. Like, all of these things are already here.
But we have to know ourselves first. I have to say, from my lessons and listening to what you're saying earlier, Catherine, you never expect to be a single mom with 3 kids. Me neither.
Nope.
But on reflection, I didn't know myself. During COVID, I really learned in a self-compassion class. I didn't know myself, because I went through the self-compassion class. I'm like, this is great. Self-love. Yes, we got to the end of the class. You're fully supposed to accept yourself.
Yeah.
I couldn't. You know why? I didn't know who I was, because I'd been who everyone else had told me to be most of my life. And those voices were louder than my own. And I now realize that when we go into relationships and we don't fully know who we are, maybe we need to take a year off to go discover that. Maybe we needed to do something apart from everyone else to find ourselves fully. We do a disservice to the relationship. because we come into it not knowing our wants and our needs, and instead we become compliant to, oh, well, I'll just meet yours. As a woman, that's the thing that, like, it's a beautiful gift that we know how to meet each other's needs, but not when it's to the point we neglect our own. And so I think for me with this conversation, I just want girls to completely own who they are, because how are you going to attract the right partner if you're not fully stepping into who you are? I look back now and realize if I had made a few different choices and fully stepped into who I was, that would have been easier to attract the right person. And that's still possible. So I still believe it's possible. I do, Catherine. I'm not giving up. I love your story. But also learning you're into bodybuilding and fitness competitions. I have a friend who's in her 70s who just went pro and is kicking Heine, getting awards all the time. She was one of our guests on here, Kate McKay. She's just now sharing how successful she's been in the fitness competitions for bikini competitions, because she didn't tell people that's what she did. Women didn't tell people what she did. And now she's really owning it. And I love seeing her step.
I wish it were me. I wouldn't wear anything but a bikini.
Well, she'll be.
They'd be like, look at Catherine again in her bikini. Yeah, that's me. You bet.
I just thought it was interesting that she's, I mean, I met her and she's this confident, amazing woman. And she's just now feeling like, I'm going to share this now, because before, women being weightlifters wasn't okay. And now it is. And there's actually a whole movement in fitness. I'm getting certified as a personal trainer right now myself. And there's a huge movement for women in fitness taking on weightlifting. We're getting back to weight bearing exercises, like back to the basics, because we want longevity. We're owning our health. We're not waiting for somebody to tell us how to fix perimenopause or menopause. We're not waiting for somebody. Like, a lot of women are just stepping into understanding really fully how to take care of their bodies. And if someone else isn't going to tell them how to do it, they're going to go figure it out themselves. So, but I'm just curious with what you've done, Kai, in that industry, what have you noticed?
I've noticed that there's cycles, of awareness, right? The way that I really started in this industry was I started as an agency publicist. I worked at an agency in New York City. So fortunate, to be able to be exposed to that level, of celebrity and to see what goes on behind the scenes. And it left me wondering, why do only certain people have access, to this information? We talked about permission. Access is another one of those, like invisible jail bars, right? So it had me start to wonder, and that wondering brought me to the evolution of where, I went, which was creating my own agency, and helping small business owners and entrepreneurs kind of like bridge the gap between celebrity and us. Like, there is no gap. Right.
Wow.
Right. And through that, it's also been a self-discovery process in the sense of, and I love that you asked this question, Tiffany, because I still don't know the answer, and I'm okay with that, is that here's an example, is that I just found out maybe about 4 years ago now that I'm actually African and Irish. I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. My skin complexion, why I get sunburns, and why I have freckles, right? But I didn't have to know that I was African and Irish in order to be African and Irish. I've always been that and not known. So the question still runs around in my head. It's like a chicken and egg situation. Do I have to know in order to be, or can I just be and not know and just have being be enough? So still running that around, not sure, don't know the answer, and that's okay. Yeah. Right.
It's just like if you're pregnant and you don't know, it doesn't mean you're not pregnant.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and being a woman,
right? Like, you don't know, but it doesn't mean that you're not, because you don't know. So exactly.
Well, and being a woman of faith,
you're gonna find out soon.
Yeah, you're gonna find out. Yeah, for sure.
I
was just thinking, being a woman of faith, we believe in a before and an afterlife. Like, we kind of believe that there's this eternal being of who we are, and this is just kind of an experience being here. At least some of us see it that way, and that there's a purpose to this experience, right? But I find a lot of comfort in situations that I get into with my kids or with myself, where I face something maybe I was like, I don't know how to deal with this. I remember that God knows me better than I know myself. And God knows my children better than I know myself. So when I feel like my intuition isn't enough, I feel like I have that source to go to help me get that intuition back in alignment. And I find a lot of comfort in that, because the world is going to change opinions of what beauty is, what it's not. I've seen everything from everyone being voluptuous to being stick thin in the 90s to like beauty, whatever. It
Being
just
voluptuous again.
all the time. Totally changes all the time. And if you seek your value there, if you seek your value outside yourself, you're going to get lost. But if you can find those, I guess, eternal truths of who you are, it's more of remembering who you are. And that feels easier in a way, doesn't it? It's not rediscovering yourself. It's remembering who you are, even if that's, I'm a child of God.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, because you've always been, right?
Mm-hmm. And then that
because you've always been. And my son said that to me this week. He said, remember who you are and whose you are. I love that too.
How sweet. Awesome. Yeah. So PR Rockstar School is literally just, taking the identity questions, that we answer in real life and applying it to our visibility in our business. It's one thing to be seen, right? And that's a choice. Visibility is just a choice, and taking action on that choice. And then what are we going to do with it, right? Being here with you ladies and having this conversation is one thing. And then, one of the words that we use in public relations is leverage. I don't know if I really like that word. I'll find another word for that. But to me, what it really means is to really appreciate it. For me, if I have something that I really appreciate it, I tend to share it, right? So having this conversation and my appreciation for it, I'm going to share it, right? And sometimes in public relations or in our visibility journey, like we kind of stop at okay, I showed up, because there was so much anxiety over that. The road is actually a little bit longer, and it's cyclical, like we're talking about with resilience. We get to bring all of that effort back home to who it is that we are. The things that we uncovered here, maybe I'll continue to talk about in conversation. Like the things that have occurred here, maybe the screenshot, would become, a talk about how it is I get ready, to show up, and what it is that I do after. Like there's so much life that we can give to all of the things that we're doing. And that's my job over here in PR, to show people how to do that, share, because I appreciate the process, and also to do it myself.
I love that. If people want to work with you, where exactly?
I think, right. I was just going to say that, because I'm like, how do I work with Kai? Like, I'm literally thinking that, she's got me fired up. Like this is, and every time we meet these incredible women on the show, we're always like, can you be my friend, please? Because you guys are so incredible. So how can people work with you for sure?
Thank you so much for asking. School.com, SKOOL.com/PR-Rockstar is where you can find me, where you can find the community. It's just so easy to get in there. We have opportunities literally posted in there multiple times a week. You could come in, just make the choice to click the button, to raise your hand and say me, and you've got visibility like that. And then together we get to do the work and be on the journey of what it looks like after the conversation, and how you can really infuse life and more business and more funds and more whatever it is that you're creating into your life through just showing up.
Love that. Well, you heard it, ladies. Awesome. Get out there and shine your light. And remember who you are, because who you are has value, and who you are could inspire somebody else. And we hope you were inspired today on the Resilient Mother podcast. Thank you for being here. Please share this, comment, let us know what you liked. We'd love to have some feedback from you. We'd like to know what else you'd like to see. If you know someone that wants to be a guest, go to the link and they can apply to be a guest. Spots are limited and they fill up pretty quick. So you got to jump on that. Any last thoughts, Catherine, as we tie it up today?
I think, Kai, thank you so much for just coming on, and your beautiful self, your beautiful smile, your just everything that's kind of exuding from you. Thank you for reminding us that we don't need permission to be. We can just be, and we don't need to explain why, and we don't need to, we don't need to justify it. We are, and we should be. And I want to thank you for that, and thank you for sharing that in your world, and for shining that light throughout your work that you do, and also being somebody's stepmom. Thanks for that also, because we do need better people, and better people come from better people. Better people come from good people. Anyway.
All right. I'm going to say amen to that.
Thank
and we'll
you.
see you next time on the Resilient Mother podcast.
Just one foot in front of the other. Just keep it moving, and then it becomes clear. And I think like that's so important. With your Rockstar School, this is something that you started then to work with PR professionals, or is it just women that you're identifying?
Got it. Thank you for the question, Catherine. One, I love that y'all are quoting the Bible. Like, thank you for doing that, because it just gives a reference, for certain things that, maybe we all have our relationship to, right? And when we're talking about intuition, it reminds me of the quote, like, you cannot serve two masters, right? Mm-hmm. So while we're like, trying to tune in, to our higher power, and maybe sometimes overriding that with either other people's needs or, other things that are more prominent in the moment. So like to actually make space, to be able to hear is such a big part, of having choice be truly, coming from you, right? So maybe we don't have to, be able to say in one sentence who it is that we are, but we can have a feeling, an essence, a space for that to exist. So I find that that's really important. PR Rockstar School is not just for PR professionals, it's for everybody, that is visible, right? We have a choice of how it is that we get to show up, and in the school we get to craft and cultivate and have an awareness of that. Sometimes we have no idea how it is that we're showing up. I get that I don't wear makeup and that I look 12, right? I'm actually 40, and that's okay. That's part of my brand, right? I'm playful. I get who I am, and I get how I show up, right? And sometimes we just don't know what that is. So we get to, be who we are, see who we are, and also be in community so people can reflect who that is.
Thank you for joining us today. Please don't forget to subscribe so we can share this message. We are a worldwide podcast with guests all around the world, and we want to continue to grow this community. You can find us on socials. You could also be a guest. Look for that link below if you'd be interested in being a guest on the podcast. If you know a sponsor or would like to be a sponsor, please reach out to me or Catherine as well.
Sure. We want you all on this journey. We want to hear your stories. We want to share your stories. We want to gain strength from each other, because together we're stronger. And to never forget the blessing of being a mother and what we're creating. We're creating the future every single day of our lives. So get on this train with us and let's do this thing, moms.
I believe in you. Believe in yourself. God bless. And we'll see you around. Take care.